Hey folks, my name's Alex. I'm a surgeon and the founder of a few edtech companies, and today's video is all about how and why I work and study in 3-hour blocks, and really about how to study productively for longer periods. Now, when I tell people I break my day into 3-hour blocks of work or study, and I mean actual work or study, not getting distracted or just sitting at my desk,
oh God, I'm sorry,
they typically look at me like I'm a little bit insane and that it isn't possible to stay focused and productive for so long without getting distracted or just being inefficient. I'm going to break today's video down into why I work and study in 3-hour blocks, and then I'm going to go into how I do it so you can try it out yourself, whether you're a student studying or you're working from home. I'm going to give you some productivity hacks at the end of the video to help you out even further, so make sure you stick around right to the end, and do hit subscribe if you enjoy this video. So let's get into things, starting with why on earth I work without breaks for 3 hours in a row. Whether I'm working on a project, writing a blog article, or studying for an exam, I'm laser focused on achieving a goal. This might be to do a set number of practice questions, complete a blog post, or whatever. But as I have a purpose and I'm very goal orientated, I'm always motivated to get the task done as efficiently as possible. This is because from years of studying and working as a surgeon and entrepreneur, I know that hitting goals gives me a sense of achievement, and missing goals or putting things off makes me feel bad. I also know that even if I'm a little bit tired and don't want to get started at studying, once I do get started and get into that flow state, I don't want to leave it. Getting started and sitting down to work or study is often the hardest part, and I know that once I've overcome that initial hurdle, I don't want to get distracted and I want to get things done. So to minimize procrastination, rather than taking breaks where getting up from my desk might result in me having to then get back into that flow state, I work in blocks of 3 hours straight. Why 3 hours? Well, for me, this focus time has built up over the years and allows me to split my day into blocks of time I can block out in my diary. If I'm doing any kind of deep work or studying for an exam, I'll usually get up and get to my desk at 7 a.m. I'll then get down to work and work from 7 to 10 a.m, then 12 to 3, and then 4 to 7 p.m. This way, I only need to get into that flow state 3 times, and to be honest, those second and third times are much easier, as I want to get back to work and get things finished. Now, while I used to use the Pomodoro method, I actually found that frequency of breaks inevitably meant that I'd spend longer than 5 minutes chilling out, and then find it really difficult to get back into that studying zone. Just check out some of my Study With Me videos, where I'm so focused and in the zone that I forget to turn over the hourglass timer to signal the Pomodoro breaks for folks who do study that way. Now, 3-hour blocks also work really well if I don't have a full day of work or study. If I need to do something like a talk, team meeting or podcast, or something in the afternoon, I know that I've got a solid 3 hours done in the morning. Equally, this schedule means that I'm done working by 7 p.m, and I can socialize, relax, and get into my sleep wind-down routine to ensure that I get enough rest, that what I've been working on or learning consolidates while I sleep, and so I'm fresh for the following morning. Having 3 blocks also allows me to get in exercise, lunch, and have 2 solid breaks to ensure I'm not burning myself out across a week or month of deep work. So why blocks of time? Well, time blocking is a well-known productivity hack discussed at length by Cal Newport in his book Deep Work, and it's also used by Elon Musk. I'll show you later in this video just how I time block out my work and study sessions, but for me, the why is because it allows me to set boundaries and set protected time when I'll be working, when my phone and notifications are off, and I'll let my team or anyone trying to get hold of me know that I shouldn't be disturbed so that I can be productive and get things done. Time blocking is also awesome as it uses Parkinson's law to give you artificial deadlines to complete your goals in. And you can also track how many hours you'll be working each week. Now, all of this being said, this is just the method that works best for me on a normal day. And sometimes I might work or study for say 4 hours if I'm really in a flow state, or just do 2 hours if I'm tight for time. And you can play with the time length yourself, but I'd highly recommend blocking out the time so that you have a set time to be sat down at your desk working, where notifications and distractions are minimized, and you can be as productive and focused on working as possible. Now, I've covered time blocking in my weekly newsletter before, and do check that out if you want some more thoughts on it. But let's now jump into how I practically manage my time and use 3-hour time blocks to work and study, and we'll also look at some productivity hacks too. Now, in this section, I'm going to focus on a few key things that I do to keep me focused to explain how I use 3-hour time blocks to productively study or work uninterrupted. I'm going to break this part of the video up into 5 key tips, plus a bonus 6th tip, which you can adopt right now to keep you focused and productive when studying. Tip number 1 is to plan out your study sessions and then add them to your calendar or diary. I use Apple iCal, but you could use Google Calendar or any calendar tool or diary planner you like. I'll block out periods of time at the same time each day, usually at the start of the week. This helps to build a habit as I know what time I need to start, and I know that I'll aim to finish around 7 PM in the evening and then have some chill time. I'll then usually go a step further and will plan out what I'm going to work on or study the night before, and I'll put this down in my diary or iCal too. This means that when I wake up the following day, I immediately know what I'm working on or studying, and I know what time I'll be starting. This also helps to hold me accountable. Now, I chose 7 AM to start as I found that getting straight up out of bed and heading to my desk reduces any procrastination. In the past, I've also mixed things up and gone to the gym or for a walk before heading to my desk, and you should definitely play with time blocks to find out what works best for you. So tip number 2 is to focus on only one task when you're working or studying. If you try to do too much, or you're worried about not having enough time to get all studying or work done in your time blocks, you'll likely get a little bit anxious, and this can be distracting and lead you to lose focus. If you're studying, set realistic goals, such as doing a certain amount of active recall questions in a time block, or if you're writing something like a blog, set a word goal that's achievable. Goals shouldn't stress you out, and the work shouldn't feel overwhelming. If it does, ask yourself whether you're prioritizing properly, and if you're studying, try focusing on the high yield or hardest topics first. Equally, keep your desk setup minimalist and tidy so that when you sit down, you can open your laptop or switch on your computer and immediately get to it. I'll typically have a very tidy desk set out the night before, just like in my Study With Me videos, and I'll then open my laptop, sit down, and get directly into the study materials or Word document that I'm working on. Tip number 3 is to not give yourself a reason to get up and move away from your desk. Before I start work at 7 AM, I've already made myself a green tea, grabbed some porridge and some snacks for the first time block, and everything is tidy from the night before. I'll then put on some lo-fi music to make the environment as relaxing and chilled as possible, as there's evidence that lo-fi and classical music helps reduce anxiety and keeps you focused when you're trying to get work done. If I'm away from my office, I'll put on some noise-cancelling headphones so that I can get into a flow state as quickly as possible. Now, keeping hydrated is really important when studying, and so I'll always have a water bottle filled and next to my desk, or a giant penguin mug of green tea. All of these things help to reduce distractions. If I'm suddenly feeling thirsty or hungry, the temptation is to get up and go to the kitchen, and then maybe I'll get distracted, check my phone, chat to someone, or just find a way to procrastinate. If I have all the basics next to me at my desk and close to hand, the chance of needing to move away is small. Another self-care tip that isn't often mentioned is making sure that you have a comfy chair and that your chair and desk and computer are set to the correct height. If you're slumped over or sat in an uncomfortable position, you can develop back or neck pain or cramp, and while this won't kill you, it will distract you and it isn't healthy in the long term. So make sure you're comfy in general wherever you are studying from, which also applies to the temperature. For anyone who's ever worked or studied in either a very warm or very cold library, it can make things pretty inhospitable. Now, sleep and exercise are also a vital part of self-care. As mentioned, sleep is when our memories consolidate, and poor sleep can lead to poor concentration and loss of focus despite your best efforts. That's why for me, I'll always try to switch off my racing mind and stop working at 7 PM, and then chill to ensure I get a good night's sleep. For me, hitting the gym and practicing mindfulness during my extended break sessions are the two most important things that keep me focused and stress-free. I'll typically hit the gym around 10 AM, and will get in a mindfulness session either in the afternoon or at the end of the day to keep me sharp and energized. Tip number 4 for staying focused is pretty obvious, but is always worth mentioning, and that is to switch off your notifications on literally everything. I'm a massive fan of Apple's Focus, which allows you to customize Do Not Disturb mode across all your Apple devices, and it's a great way to automate when you want to take calls and when you want to fully concentrate. Alternatively, just ditch your phone or try some apps like Forest that reward you for focused periods of work. Notifications are absolutely everywhere, and I'll make sure that Slack, email, Chrome, Instagram, and even my doorbell system are all muted during time block periods of deep work.
Thank you for calling. Please leave.
Now, if like me, you get slightly anxious about not immediately replying to an email, set 1 or 2 times during the day outside of your time blocking when you'll check your emails, and most importantly, stay away from social media unless you're literally watching this video right now or you're on my TikTok or Instagram to learn about how to learn and be productive, in which case we'll let that one slide. Now, tip 5 is to build up the time you study and work by just acknowledging if you do get distracted. Don't panic and get back to work. Just like mindfulness, no one's perfect, and your mind might wander or you might get distracted despite your best efforts. If you do, focus on overcoming that initial hurdle of getting started and try and get back into a flow state. You can also reflect at the end of the day or the end of a time block and note down whether you got distracted and whether you were struggling to focus for the whole period of time. You can then play around with the times and breaks to find what works best for you. I usually make my time blocks a game and challenge myself to get as much work done in the 3-hour blocks as possible against the goals I've set myself. Importantly, whether I've hit those goals or not, I'll also reward myself just for showing up and getting into that flow state. My rewards, as mentioned, are usually going to the gym or grabbing food with friends or a quick Pokemon or Zelda session. But do whatever you enjoy doing to reward yourself at the end of the time blocks, as this helps to build habit and helps keep you sane. Now, as a quick bonus 6th tip, for those of you who are uber productivity and study gurus, if you are already time blocking, or maybe you're deep into a revision period and you feel like you might be burning out, or you're just fed up with a prolonged run of work, I tend to start each day with a quick check-in to see how I'm feeling and to reset my mind and remind myself just why I'm working or studying in the first place. Having a greater purpose will help keep you motivated even when it gets tough. And if that motivation is just to pass an exam, remember that you're sitting that exam to go on to bigger and better things, such as being a doctor. Switching up your mindset from I have to do this work or I need to revise to I get to study or I'm excited to work on this project gets you into that positive mindset. I'll even force myself to do this sometimes if I don't fully believe it and I'm super tired, as it gets me back on track and helps me to hit those goals and stay productive and laser focused and enables me to work or study for 3 hours straight without breaks. Okay, so that's it. Now if you enjoyed this video, do hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel to see more content. As always, if you've got any tips for how you like to study that you'd like to share with the rest of the community, please do let me know in the comments down below. So thanks again for watching and for subscribing, and I'll catch you again in the next video.